What are you allowing into your body, mind, energy, and life? And what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions Publishing, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are a couple of the amazing authors of one of our most newest books out on the market. I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek as I talk about this book, The Simple Spiritual Guide to Clean Living Practices for Health, Healing, Growth, and Transformation. And you guys, you can see our lead author's name there, Anne Marie Tosse, and that beautiful picture of her actually on this gorgeous cover. I wanted to shout her out really quick before I introduce you to Miss Erin and Debbie today. Anne Marie, you had a huge vision and mission for this book. And I'm so honored to be here on this journey with you, bringing these beautiful, brave words into the world. You gathered around you a stellar group of expert co authors to talk about this juicy topic. You guys are going to hear what a couple of our authors have to say about it today. And I have some pretty cool people in my Zoom room with me. Erin Mays is a cosmic healer and a guide to your own cosmic self. I also have Debbie Lang with me. She helps people improve their lives with tarot, astrology, and numerology readings and channeled messages. You guys, we've got some powerful women in the Zoom room, and I can't wait to talk to you both. Debbie, we're going to start the party off with you today. Tell us a little bit about the why behind the chapter that you wrote for this book.
Mm. Well, it was a time in my life that was very transformative for me. I was very close to dying, so that's why I called it dying to my old self, because I really did. I was a teacher. I was an elementary school teacher, which was something that was, honorable and great, but I wasn't great at it. And I didn't love it. I loved teaching, but I didn't ever feel like I was doing the students a favor, and the system didn't work for me. So I got sick. I was trying to, I think, to get out of this life, and I didn't know how. And I got very close to dying. My blood count was so low when they finally took my numbers that they said they didn't know how I was still walking, and that made sense. So meeting the man who became my husband, Mike Lang, was a miracle, because I hate needles and he's an acupuncturist. So I didn't know that. I wouldn't have gone to see him if I knew that. So here he was, and he took one look at me and he said, "Where's your blood?" And that was the first time I thought this could be lack of blood. I didn't know. I just knew I was sick. I couldn't walk, couldn't think. I wasn't doing my job well, so I wasn't a happy camper. So that's basically the why, that it was so transformative. Is a very different kind of acupuncturist. He works with the ear acupuncture points, so he didn't have to use needles. And he taught me so much. He's Chinese, and the Chinese system of how to look at health and that is so different than here in the West. And he is a very talented healer. So I got to learn, and I got better pretty quick after I met him. So, they say you save somebody's life, you got to take them on. I told him that, so he married me.
That's what a cool story. So you went for help because you weren't feeling good and you ended up marrying the guy. Go figure.
Yeah. Sounds a
uh,
bit dodgy, but it wasn't. It was sweet.
I love it. I also am a humongous fan of acupuncture and the way that it looks at body, mind, soul, spirit holistically. all of the elements and all of the things. I mean, I know enough to be dangerous, right, to talk about it. But um, do you remember, you know, what was the journey like? Was it a few sessions? Was it a few months? You started to feel kind of the hope again. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I felt hopeful. I recognized for a long time the power of Chinese medicine, and I have a lot of Chinese friends in my life, so it wasn't a big thing to meet this man in terms of culture and language. But it took a while. It took me probably 4 years to get completely well because I was very far gone. I didn't have much longer on the planet. It really was. But when you're sick that much, you don't really know. That's the lucky thing. I was just hanging in there, and I really got very proud of myself for my resilience and my the strength. It gave me a lot of confidence in my physical being, which was a big part of my healing, was getting that confidence, trusting that my body knew, and also trusting in spirit and in meant to be, because I ended up at the right place at the right time, hating needles, like really terrified. And there it was, the miracle. I didn't know you could do acupuncture without needles.
Well, we are glad you hung in there. And, thank you for saying yes to this project and bringing your beautiful story and your practice. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes to this book. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. I'm really honored.
Erin, let's move over to you now. Tell us a little about your why.
All right. My name is Erin Mays, and I wrote chapter 12, Finding the Way Home on the Path of No Path. And just like the title implies, when I began, Anne Marie approached both Debbie and I and asked us if we would contribute chapters to her book. And she says, "Oh, you can write, just write your story." And I sat down and I started writing my story, and it was just like my life. There was no clear path. I just blurted out all this stuff, and then I realized, well, I'm gonna have to hone in on something. I can't just meander quite like this. And so it just kind of developed. And I recalled how lost I felt for so much of my life, just really no clue where I was going. Um, one of my sisters once said to me, Erin, you're just going to fumble through life, just meandering, doing what you do, and people will be drawn to your light. And I was like, well, that's an interesting thing to say, but it's not very comforting. Um, Yeah, and so as you'd find out if you read my chapter, I went eventually to a someone who is doing psychic readings, and the first thing she said to me was, "Oh, you have no path. Everybody else I've read for has a path. They've got a clear path, and you have no path." And I was like, "Wow, wow." That just told me so much. But I think there must be others like me. Um, there must be others who have felt lost their whole lives and don't know how to get to where they need to go. And it turns out the answers are inside, they're not outside. And it took me a long, long time to figure that out. And if I can help anybody figure out that their answers are inside, everything they need is right here, um, then I feel like I'm doing a service. Yeah.
100% you are. If you remember a moment when you first started to connect, I remember a journey similar where I was looking at all the people around me, feeling like everyone else knew how to go inside, but I didn't know what they were talking about, and I wasn't really up on the meditation thing at that point in my life, and I just like, so I want to know, like, if you remember the moment where you did start to connect and what happened?
Yeah, Laura, for me, it was really gradual. Like you, there were many times I was sitting in a meditation circle, and everybody would share, and they're sharing these amazing, vivid journeys. Oh, I saw Jesus. I did this. I did that, and I'm like, well, yeah, yeah. It was like I saw nothing, pretty much. But over time, as I did the work, I engaged with my shaman, and I went for a session a month. And and then I signed up for, Reiki, and signed up for Healing Touch for Animals, and signed up for an animal communication class, and took a shamanic healing class. And as I did that, these all these blocks kind of peeled away. And I learned to honor what it looks like for me, and not worry about what it looks like for others, because I am not one of those visual people who can say, I saw this, and that. Um, it's been much more, kind of groping around in the dark and going with my feelings. I'm more clairsentient than clairvoyant.
Yeah, you and I share that, and I'm happy to hear somebody talk about it, because I'm often surrounded by people who can do the vivid vision thing, and I'm always so just a little bit jealous of that. I would love to have that ability, but my knowing is strong. And so I learned to turn to that and be really like, ooh, there it is. That's mine. Like that's how I do it. So it's just fun to hear you talk about it. Thank you also for saying yes to this project, for putting your beautiful, brave words into the book. Thanks to both of you. Really, my gratitude is big because you took on the challenge of putting that vulnerable story in the book, but then in the second part of your chapters and in this book, you guys, are the practices where I challenged our authors to give you a practical experience to help you into their world and have something to try. And you both did it so brilliantly. So thank you for that. This book is a gift, I believe, when you pick it up and start to read and do some of these things. Erin, I want to stick with you for this next question. Clean living means a lot of things to a lot of people. What does it mean to you?
Clean living. Well, similar to Debbie, I had a lovely gift from her husband, in that he looked in my ear once and said, "Oh, oh dear." And he suggested a vegan diet. I was already vegetarian, so that was not a stretch for me. Um, so, I've thrown out all the dairy, that's a big part for me, is clean eating. But also my spiritual practice. If without my spiritual practice, I would be lost. And so for me, I would have to say that my personal spiritual practice, how I engage with spirit, how I start my day, how I end my day, things I go to when things get challenging, as life tends to do. Um, that's the major part of clean living for me. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Debbie, how about you? What does clean living mean to you?
It's pretty clear to me because I grew up in a family on a diet of Kraft dinner and bologna.
Oh my gosh. How did you get a peek into my kitchen when I was little too? It was the whole generation, wasn't it? Oh
It
my goodness.
was. My mother loved that. But um, as I said, I had many Chinese friends, and it was a revelation to me the whole diet of that was really natural to Chinese people. They eat their health, and so I started in on eating vegetables and liking them for the first time in my life when I got into that culture a bit. And then it just progressed. But I never in my life thought that I would be vegan. I never thought that I would be a plant-based person. It just was so outside of my realm. But I found that Mike just did not do well with a lot of meat in his diet, and he really, really believed in the power of whole foods. So it just happened with him, and I just felt better and better. as I went on that path. And so it wasn't too hard. We didn't really push it. We gradually became plant-based. Clean living also meant when I met Mike, he was working for a Chinese nutritional company in the States, where they concentrated food grade herbs. And also, this was a family business, a big family business, but the all of their products were for everything in the home. So I found very healthy, clean laundry soap and toothpaste with 34 herbs in it, you know, that actually made such a difference to how I felt that I didn't even have to question. There was no question. When I found these things, I was so sick, and every little step along the way, I felt better, better, better. So it was a no-brainer. And I could speak with that passion to people. So that was a powerful part of our work. We recommended the very things that we ate and used to people. And I saw hundreds of people doing well with clean food and clean home products and that. So it was not a stretch for us to keep moving on that path of changing anything that had any suspect, that's a silly word to use, but anything that we didn't know what that meant in it.
Yeah.
And it has added up to a life where I don't see doctors. I have such good health, and I never ever thought that was possible because I had every cold that came along for so many years, that kind of lifestyle. Becoming an elementary school teacher, every week it was a different cold or flu. So it's just become a, a way of life, and I just get the importance of it. I'm so grateful.
Mm. Yeah. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I think a lot of people think of clean eating as clean living as eating. Of course, it's like the first thing you think of. One of the things I've noticed as I've adopted more and more practices that help me with clean living in all the ways is that my this channel for the energy is so much more wide open when I keep this beautiful sacred vessel clean. And so when I got a little taste of that, it's pretty exciting. And it's a little scary, little and very exciting. But I thought, you know what? I need to keep this clean. I need to keep my thoughts clean. And what does that mean? So that's my chapter is also in this book, you guys, Empowered Mindset Mastery. It starts with the thoughts for me. And of course, the eating and everything you ladies have mentioned today. But for me, it's like, wow, even the self talk, the self sabotage I was realizing was like, you wouldn't say that to your kid or your friend, or, why are you saying it to yourself? Like, let's clean that up. I know that throughout the book, there's mention of mindset as part of clean living. So that's my extra 2 cents about that. I want to give you both a chance to talk about the practice that you have gifted us in your chapters. Um, Debbie, I'm going to ask you first. What do you think is the most important thing you want us to know about that journey from near death back to health and vitality?
Let's see. For me, I was in therapy for my weight. And my therapist, I said to her one day, do you think I could be getting myself sick when I get exhausted or I really need some time off? I hadn't made that connection. And she handed me Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. That
I own that
was,
one.
yeah. that just transformed my life. I had a week of layers and layers of belief systems just disappearing. I'd always
Mm.
wanted to be a spiritual person, but I couldn't because the kind of, I guess, religion that had come into my life, it just didn't seem to make sense. But I longed for belief. And when I read that book, it gave me a solid basis for how I could believe in fairness and meaning, and everything just kind of fell into place. And it led me to a spiritual group, I would say, New Thought churches. And I grew up atheist, so it was a big stretch, but I loved it. I loved that there was some place to be with self-responsibility, and being responsible for my perspective, my point of view, my like you were saying, the thoughts, the self-talk. And I moved from that. I went to a meditation class one day just and met this woman who was just moving through her uh, practice as a tarot card reader, which I had never come across before. And as I looked at those tarot cards and started reading the book, because of course you don't know at the beginning what the cards mean, but I just thought, this is my language. This actually speaks for me. And it said the things that I knew about people, but I didn't have words for. I didn't have the pictures. And all of a sudden, the whole thing was there with tarot cards. And it was like learning a language that connected me to being able to express what was deep inside of me to people who wanted to know those things. It was a bridge. And then from that, of course, I moved into numerology and astrology, because they're all the same thing in different pictures. And then later on, after I'd been working with those practices for a long time, I started channeling. That I knew a channeler. I know a channeler. She's very powerful, and her guides gave me a lot of information about me. And then they said to me one time, "We are opening your channel. You just sit with it, ignore it, pretend it's not there, and you will get to know your guides." And so I got to know my guides, who are the elders, and that was a big transformative experience as well. And I hope I answered the question.
What's the message you want to leave us with today?
That there's so much more to life than we learned in elementary school. Everything to me has sentience and meaning, and that I think that's sort of the beginning, middle, and end for me. People can move into that, and everybody does in their own unique, wonderful ways, because that's what we're here to do, is to be a unique person experiencing life in authenticity and perfection, just exactly as we are. Doesn't matter whether we're saying totally different things or anything. That's what we're meant to be, and we're all doing it perfectly.
That is perfect. Perfect message. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
What a cool journey too that you've been on. All right, Erin, for you, what's that most important thing that you want us to know about finding the way home on that path of no path? You know, I was reading your subtitle too on this one, reaching for the inner wisdom, and that part was resonating so much because with the connection comes almost everything I wanted, right? But tell us what you want to leave us with in terms of your golden nugget.
Well, I did. I offered as my practice, as a practice that I have personally found so incredibly helpful for connecting me with my intuition, with my higher self, with my body, all of it. It's a practice that I go through every day. I start my day out by calling in sacred space. And as I do it, I just now intuitively run through all my chakras. I start in my heart and I work with the Hara line, connecting with Mother Earth and then with Source above. And I find it really, really powerful. And I've had quite a few people that it has come up for, as a great way, a suggestion that I can offer in terms of how to connect with your own higher self, how to ground yourself here when things are hard. Uh, so I guess I would just like to offer that I feel that working with your own inner self and finding your own inner wisdom, however it comes to you, it's a worthwhile journey. It's really, I believe it's why we're here.
You mentioned earlier too, morning routine, evening routine, a spiritual practice, like even just allowing ourselves to have that 5 minutes on either end of the day. I was listening to you talk about that earlier, and I'm like, I I'm a great morning person, and I've been kind of slacking on the evening routine, and it's as important, right? Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Although, I get it. It's hard to do, and we're tired at the end of the day and our
exactly.
days are full. So I find even as you drop into bed to do a little bit there. That's
Yeah.
fine. And actually, before you go to sleep, as you're going to sleep, just when you're starting to drift off, that's the perfect time to connect with your higher self and make requests. So, the power of doing this when you go to bed and you're falling asleep it's very powerful.
I love it. Erin and Debbie, thank you both so much for what you do in the world. Thanks for being here to share it with everyone. I want our listeners to understand that this is really way more than a book. It's a generous community. So, Debbie and Erin are both hooked up down below in the show notes with their links. Please go explore what they're up to in the world. Of course, we would love it if you would go grab your copy of this beautiful book. I've got the link below for that as well. And lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.